I woke to the whisper of silk, against my skin soft. Expensive. Nothing like the scratchy thrift store sheets on my own bed. For a moment, he didn't move. My eyes were still closed, my mind hovering somewhere between sleep and a reality I didn't yet recognize. But then a cold thread of awareness slid down my spine. This wasn't my room. This wasn't my bed. This wasn't my life. My eyes snapped open. The ceiling above me was pure white, smooth and glossy, reflecting the early morning light pouring through windows so tall they seemed to reach into the sky. And they did, because beyond them stretched the entire Chicago skyline, glittering with sunrise, and impossibly far below. I bolted upright. Breath caught in my throat. 40th floor, penthouse. How the hell did I get here? The room around me was too quiet. Too beautiful. Dark mahogany furniture, marble floors, a chandelier that probably cost more than my student loans. The kind of place you only see in magazines, or in the lives of people whose names everyone knows. I lifted the sheets and immediately froze. I wasn't wearing anything. Nothing at all. My jeans. My shoes. The second-hand top I'd worn last night. They were nowhere in sight. The panic hit me all at once. Sharp and metallic. My head pounded like someone had stuffed cotton behind my eyes. My mouth was dry. A faint sweetness lingered on my tongueberry. Maybe. And something bitter underneath it. Something I didn't remember drinking. Last night, pieces came back in fragments. My friends' laughter. A crowded dance floor. The neon sign of a nightclub I'd never been inside before. And nothing else. My hands trembled as I pressed them against my temples. I needed to get out. I needed answers. I needed to. The door opened. I flinched so hard the sheet slipped. And I clutched them to my chest like a shield. A figure stepped through the steam, drifting from what had to be the bathroom. And for a second, I forgot how to breathe. He was tall, broad shoulders, narrow waist, wrapped in nothing but a white towel, slung low around his hips. Water still clung to his skin, tracing the lines of a body that looked carved from stone. Dark hair slicked back, sharp jaw, and eyes cold, golden, assessing me with a kind of calm intensity that made my pulse trip violently in my throat. I had never seen this man before, but somehow I knew exactly who he was. Dominic Hale, Billionaire club honneur, philanthropist by day, rumoured crime lord by night. The kind of man people whispered about, but never approached. And he was standing in front of me, half naked, like it was the most normal thing in the world. "You're awake," he said, voice low and smooth. The kind of voice that wrapped around a person and didn't let go. He didn't look surprised. If anything, he looked satisfied, as if he'd been expecting this moment. My throat tightened. Where am I? What happened? Where are my clothes? He walked toward a dresser with unhurried confidence, opening drawers, as if this were his morning routine, and I was simply part of the scenery. "You're in my penthouse," he said, "and your clothes are being cleaned." Cleaned. My voice cracked. Why would they need to be cleaned? Why am I here? He paused, just long enough to look at me over his shoulder. Those eyes, God. Those eyes held a hint of something dangerous. Something I couldn't name. "You were in my nightclub last night," he said. "You had too much to drink. You were in no condition to get home on your own." "That's not I didn't." I swallowed hard. None of this made sense. Did we? I couldn't finish the sentence. No. The answer was sharp and immediate. "I don't touch women who can't consent." "And you passed out before I could even ask your name." Relief flooded me so quickly, it made me dizzy. But the fear didn't fade. If he hadn't brought me here for that, then why I forced myself to speak? Why didn't you just call an Uber? Or my friends? Your friends left, he replied, turning back to the dresser. All of them. The moment you lost consciousness, the words hit me like a slap. Mia wouldn't check your phone, he said, nodding toward a small purse, sitting neatly on a chair. 17 missed calls. All from people who realized too late that they abandoned you. My stomach twisted. I didn't remember any of that. Dominic stepped closer, and I instinctively pulled back. The sheet tightened around my fists. What aren't you telling me? I whispered. He reached into a drawer, pulled out a small tablet, and tapped the screen. Watch. The video that appeared made my blood run cold. I saw myself at the bar laughing, leaning over to grab a drink. Behind me, 2 men in dark jackets slipped something into the glass. They didn't even hide it. My heart started pounding so loudly I could barely hear. The angle switched. Dominic appeared on screen, walking straight toward them. His face wasn't calm like it was now. It was lethal. Controlled rage radiated from every line of his body. The men paled instantly. One ran, the other tried to talk. But Dominic leaned in close enough that the audio picked up only 2 words. She's mine. The video cut out. I stared at Dominic, horrified. They drugged me. Why, I don't even know them, no, he said. But I do. He knelt in front of me. Kafil. Deliberate. His eyes locked on mine like he was inspecting every flicker of emotion. They work for a rival syndicate, he said quietly. They're trying to send a message. They targeted you because they saw you near one of my people. You were collateral. Nothing more. Collateral. The word twisted in my chest, cold and brutal. So you brought me here? I whispered. Yes. Why not leave me at a hospital? Or the police? His jaw tightened. Because the moment those men realized you were connected to me, even by accident, your life became leverage. They won't stop because you walk out the door. I shook my head. No. This is insane. I'm nobody. His eyes darkened. Not to them. And not to me. He stood. And suddenly the room felt too small. His presence too large. You're safe here, he said. And until I eliminate the threat, you're staying. My body went rigid. You can't keep me here. I can, he said softly, almost gently. And I will. The air thickened between us, heavy with fear, and something else, something I didn't want to name. He turned to leave, but paused at the doorway, hands slipping into the pockets of the charcoal trousers he'd just pulled on. His voice, when it came, was lower, intimate, dangerous. Lana. I looked up despite myself. You stay here, he said. Whether you like it or not, you're mine to protect now. A chill rippled across my skin. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten me. But somehow, the promise in those words felt more binding than chains. And as the door closed behind him, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't sure if the fear gripping my heart came from being trapped in a stranger's penthouse, or from the part of me that didn't want to run. Life inside Dominic Hale's penthouse felt less like being held captive, and more like being suspended in a world I was never meant to touch. A world made of glass and marble, wealth and silence, secrets and shadows. After hours locked in my room, replaying the footage he'd shown me, I finally ventured out. I told myself I wanted to explore, really. I just wanted proof that the walls around me weren't alive. Closing in, the penthouse was enormous, big enough that my footsteps seemed swallowed by the space. I found a library first. Tucked behind sliding glass doors, 2 floors of books climbed toward a skylight. Sunlight spilling over shelves, filled with leather-bound editions and architectural encyclopedias. I traced my fingers along the spine of one at random. And for a brief, delicate moment, I felt normal again, but the feeling didn't last. I sensed eyes on me, heavy, watchful. I turned. Dominic stood in the doorway. Silent. Hands in his pockets. Gaze fixed on me like I was a puzzle. He couldn't stop studying. His presence didn't need words. It wrapped around the room in a way that made the air thicken. "You don't have to lurk," I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. "I'm not lurking," he replied. "I'm observing. Observing what you..." A faint tilt of his head. "Making sure you're adjusting to being kidnapped." His lips curved. "Not kita smile. To being kept safe." I scoffed and pushed past him. But even brushing his shoulder sent a strange heat spiraling through me. I escaped to the hallway and wandered until I found myself outside, on the rooftop terrace. The view was breathtaking. Chicago stretched endlessly below. Cold air stinging my cheeks. The pool steaming gently in the autumn chill. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to pretend I didn't feel him somewhere behind me again. Watching. He didn't speak this time. He didn't need to. His eyes were enough steady. Intense. Unblinking. Dominic Hale didn't look at me like a man studying a guest. He looked at me like something that mattered. Something he was already claiming. Even without permission. I couldn't take it. I walked briskly toward the elevator. Heart pounding. If I could reach the lobby just once, I could run. I could disappear. But as soon as the elevator doors opened, a tall man in a tailored suit stepped out. He blocked my path gently but firmly. "Miss Reyes," he said. Polite, but unyielding. "Mr. Hale asked that we keep you on this floor." My chest tightened. "I'm not a prisoner." A beat of silence. "No," he said softly. "You're protected." I tried to shove past him, but he didn't budge. Another guard approached from behind. They weren't aggressive, just immovable. Then the elevator behind them chimed. Dominic stepped out. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. His presence alone pulled every ounce of air out of the hallway. "Going somewhere?" he asked. "Yes." I snapped. "Away from here." He dismissed the guards with a flick of his hand. When they were gone, he stepped closer. Too close. "You don't understand the danger you're in," he said. Voice low. "You don't get to decide that for me." His eyes hardened, not in anger, but in something sharper. Fear. "Not of me. For me. You think I'm doing this because I enjoy keeping you trapped," he said. "I'm doing this because the moment you left my sight, those men would finish what they started. You can't know that." He leaned in, his voice barely a whisper. "I can. And I do." Something electric stretched between us. Anger. Fear. Confusion. Attraction all twisted together until I didn't know where one ended and the other began. For a second, I thought he might kiss me, just to shut me up. But he didn't. He stepped back. Jaw tight. "If you try to run again, I will lock this entire floor down. Don't make me do that." I hated how my skin heated at his words. I hated how a tiny, unwelcome part of me felt safe. And that scared me more than anything. Later that afternoon, I found him in a room unlike anything else in the penthouse. Smaller. Quieter. Warmer. A study filled with drafting tables and sketches, pinned neatly across the walls. Bridges. Towers. Houses. Entire cities, drawn with meticulous lines and shadows. "You're an architect," I said before I could stop myself. He didn't turn. I was supposed to be. I moved closer, unable to hide my wonder. The drawings were breathtaking, detailed and full of soul, not the work of someone playing around. The work of someone who loved creating. What happened? I asked softly. He rested his hands on the edge of the table. My family happened. Obligation happened. He glanced at me then. Eyes softer than I'd ever seen them. Life doesn't always allow you to choose what you want. My heart tightened. This man, this powerful, dangerous man had dreams. I never would have guessed. A life he'd buried long before I walked into that club. You're talented, I said. Really talented. A flicker of emotion crossed his face. Gratitude. Maybe. Or something deeper. You're the first person I've ever brought into this room, he murmured. The meaning hung between us. Heavy and intimate. For a moment, the world outside didn't exist. It was just him and me, and the quiet understanding that something inside him was shifting, and something inside me was answering. The spell broke with a knock at the door. Dominic's expression sharpened instantly. What his second in command stepped inside. Face grim. It's the Fulton warehouse. Sire. Cold dread washed over Dominic's features. How bad? 2 men down. Shipment gone. My stomach twisted. This wasn't just business. This was war. Dominic straightened. Every trace of vulnerability vanishing. Who ordered it? We're not sure. But the man hesitated. They knew about the girl. My breath hitched. Dominic's head snapped toward me. Jaw clenching. Someone inside my organization is feeding information to Caruso. He said. Someone who knew you were here. The room seemed to tilt. Why would they target me? I whispered. Because I intervened when they tried to take you. He said. Because they saw what I didn't want to admit. His gaze locked on mine. Fierce and unguarded. You're not just a message anymore. You're leverage. Before I could respond. His phone rang. He answered. Listened. And went absolutely still. What he said. Voice ice cold. My heart pounded. Dominic. What happened? He lowered the phone slowly. Eyes dark with fury. They have your friend. I froze. Maya. They sent proof she's alive. And a message. He stepped toward me. Voice Kravelsov. They want to trade her for you. I staggered back. No. No. Mia has nothing to do with this. His expression cracked rage. Guilt. Protectiveness, all fighting for space. This is my fault. He said. They know I would never hand you over. Tears burned my eyes. My legs felt too weak to hold me. She's in danger because of me. He reached for me. Hands firm around my arms. No. She's in danger because they want to break me. And they think using you will do that. The tears came then hot. Helpless. Angry. It is my fault. If I hadn't gone to that club, stop. His voice deepened. Commanding but gentle, he lifted my chin with 2 fingers. Forcing me to meet his gaze. I don't want your guilt. I want your trust. I shook my head. Tears blurring his face. What if she dies because of me? He brushed a tear from my cheek with his thumb. The gesture was too tender. Too intimate. I won't let that happen. He said. I will bring her back. His hands moved to my waist. Pulling me closer. Grounding me. Our breaths mingled. Our lips hovered inches apart. I didn't know who leaned in first, but suddenly, there was no space left. His mouth found mine. Slow and heated. Like he'd been holding back for days. The kiss stole the air from my lungs. Stole the ground from beneath me. His hand slid to the back of my neck. Guiding me deeper. Closer. Until the world itself vanished. Then he pulled away not far. Just enough to breathe. His forehead rested against mine. I won't touch you when you're scared, he whispered, but I swear. One day, you'll beg me to. A shiver ripped through me. He stepped back reluctantly, as if tearing himself away. I have to go. Terror surged. Dominic. He cupped my face again. Just briefly. I need you to say it. What? Tell me to come back. He swallowed hard. My voice came out a trembling whisper. Please, come back alive. His eyes softened in a way I'd never seen. For you, his lips brushed my forehead. Always. Then he turned and strode out of the room. His men falling in behind him. And I stood there. Alone. Heart racing. Terrified of one thing above all. What if the man I should fear most was the only one I didn't want to lose? Mia was alive. The words on the screen didn't feel real at first. They glowed in the dark like something out of a dream. She's safe. Minor injuries. Operation successful. I'm bringing her in. My knees gave out. And I sank onto the edge of the bed. The tablet shaking in my hands. Relief crashed over me so hard it almost hurt. For hours. Every terrible possibility had played on a loop. In my mind, Mia, crying. Mia hurt. Mia blaming me. Now, for the first time, since this nightmare began, I could breathe. There was a second message. Stay in your room. I'll come to you when it's done. D. I stared at the initial for a long time. Dominic. I should have been angry at him. At this world. At everything that had dragged us all into danger. But all I could feel was the dull, steady thud of my heart, repeating one quiet truth. He promised. And he kept his word. When the door finally opened, the sky outside had already shifted from black to the deep indigo that came just before sunrise. I had dozed off sitting up, hugging my knees. Still in yesterday's clothes. The click of the lock snapped me awake. Dominic stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him. He looked exhausted. Dark stubble shadowed his jaw. His shirt was wrinkled, and there was a smear of dried something dust. Dirt. Maybe blood on his sleeve. But his eyes were steady. How is she? I asked. My voice breaking on the last word. Bruised. Shaken. He moved closer. Slow. Like he wasn't sure how close I'd let him get. But alive. She's at a safe house. My doctor checked her over himself. No lasting damage. My vision blurred again. But this time with grateful tears. Thank you. He shook his head. Don't thank me for cleaning up a mess my world made. I don't care whose world it is. You brought her back. Silence stretched between us for a heartbeat. Thick with all the things we weren't saying. Then he exhaled and sat beside me at the edge of the bed, keeping a careful inch between our shoulders. There's one more step, he said quietly. To end this. I wiped at my eyes. What now? A meeting? His jaw tightened at the word. With Vincent Caruso. The name felt heavy even to me. And I'd never met the man. The rival boss. He nodded. He asked to see you. In person. To confirm you're not who he thinks you are. I swallowed. The woman you told me about. The one tied to his son. His grief made him paranoid. Dominic said. He believed you were part of some conspiracy against him. Last night proved otherwise. But he wants to look you in the eye. And if I say no, then this war drags on. He answered honestly. He keeps coming after my people. After me. After you. Whether you leave or not. But if we face him together. If he sees the truth. He paused. There's a chance this ends tonight. Fear slid icy fingers around my spine. You want me to sit across from a mafia boss who ordered my best friend kidnapped? No. Dominic said, And for once the word was gentle instead of sharp. I want you to choose whether you're willing to help me stop him. You've had enough taken out of your hands already. His gaze lingered on my face. Searching. Not pushing. Not forcing. You'll be there, I asked. Right beside you. And you think he'll listen? His lips curved faintly. He'd be a fool not to. A strange calm settled over me then, not because I wasn't scared, but because turning away now felt worse than facing the fire. Okay, I said, my voice quiet but steady. I'll do it. His shoulders eased, tension bleeding out of him. We leave tonight. I nodded, heart already thudding harder. Tonight? One more battle. One more chance to make this stop. One more reason to trust him. The restaurant smelled like old money. And older power. Even without seeing the private dining room. I could feel it, in the hush of the staff. The heavy crystal chandeliers. The way everyone pretended not to notice us, as we walked through. Dominic's hand rested lightly at the small of my back. Not gripping. Not steering. Just there. A constant reminder I wasn't walking in alone. Vincent Caruso looked exactly the way I'd imagined. A man like him would. Silver hair. Expensive suit. A face carved in lines of old grief. A new suspicion. His eyes latched onto me, as soon as we entered. And for a moment, I felt like prey, stepping into a predator's den. Mr. Hale, he said smoothly. Standing. And this must be the young woman causing so much trouble. I straightened my spine. My name is Lana Reyes. His gaze flickered. Cataloguing everything, my voice. Mi posture. The way Dominic's hand didn't leave my back. Sit. Vincent said. Let's talk. Dinner was a performance. And I was center stage, whether I wanted to be or not. They served dishes I barely tasted, while questions circled the table like sharks. Where did you grow up? Miss Reyes. What do your parents do? How long have you known Mr. Hale? What were you doing in his club that night? It felt less like conversation, and more like cross-examination. But every time my nerves spiked, I felt Dominic's thumb brush the back of my chair. A silent anchor. He didn't speak for me. He didn't interrupt. He just watched sharp. Proud. Letting me stand on my own. My friend dragged me out to celebrate my birthday. I said when Vincent pressed again. I didn't know whose club it was. I didn't know who he was. I nodded toward Dominic. Not until later. And yet here you are? Vincent murmured. In his home. At his table. Under his protection. I met his gaze head on. Your men tried to drug me and kidnap me to get to him. You let that happen. Forgive me if I don't send you a thank you card for the opportunity. A beat of silence. Then, unexpectedly, the corner of Vincent's mouth ticked up. There's a spine under all that shaking. He said. Interesting. I'm shaking because you had my best friend taken. I shot back. My voice low but controlled. Because she woke up terrified, in a place she didn't recognize. Exactly the way I did in his penthouse. The difference is I tilted my head toward Dominic. He saved me from your men. He saved her from yours. So, if you're asking me which devil I trust more, I already have my answer. Vincent's eyes narrowed. For a long moment, no one spoke. The tension at the table coiled tighter, thicker, like the whole room was holding its breath. Finally, Vincent leaned back in his chair. Expression shifting. You're not her, he said quietly. You don't even move like her. I thought I saw a ghost in that security footage. I was wrong. Something in Dominic's posture loosened. Barely noticeable, unless you were watching for it. I was. You were grieving your son. Dominic said. Voice measured. You needed someone to blame. I still do. Vincent replied. And it seems I've been blaming the wrong people. He turned his head slightly. Eyes locking on the younger man, standing quietly at the back of the room. The bodyguard I'd barely noticed until now. Carlo. Vincent said. You told me our informant confirmed this girl was involved. That she was connected to the Santos family. That she was a threat. Carlo's face tightened. That's what I was told. By whom? Dominic cut in. His tone sharp as broken glass. The man swallowed. By Alonso. Sire. He said I know what he said. Vincent's voice turned cold. Ancient. Dangerous. And now I know he lied. To you. To me. To all of us. The rest happened in a blur of names. Accusations. And cold agreements. Dominic and Vincent spoke in a language made of territory lines and business interests. Of shipments and percentages, and what would happen if anyone broke the terms of what they were about to sign. At the end of it, one thing was clear. The war was over. Caruso's people would stand down. Dominic's men would stop expecting bullets from every shadow. And I was no longer a target. You have my word. Vincent said finally. His gaze landing on me one last time. Miss Reyes will not be touched. Not by me. Not by anyone under my command. We're done. Dominic's hand found mine under the table. Fingers lacing through, with quiet finality. It wasn't for show. It felt like a promise. Then so are we. He said. The ride back to the penthouse was quiet. Not strained, just full. Full of everything we'd just survived. Everything we hadn't had the courage to say yet. When the elevator doors opened into the foyer, Dominic stepped back, giving me space for the first time since I'd met him. No hand on my back. No unspoken pressure. The city gleamed beyond the floor to ceiling windows. Lights sparkling in the darkness, like 1,000 tiny futures. You're safe now, he said quietly. Truly. I turned to face him. Because of you. Because of us. He studied me. His expression unreadable. I gave Vincent my word. I wouldn't come after him. The war is done. You're not leverage anymore. You're not a target. You're hesitated. Free. The word landed somewhere deep inside me and echoed. You can go back to your life. He continued. Your apartment. Your classes. Your job. No guards unless you want them. No locked doors. No one making choices for you. He looked away then. Toward the glass. As if the skyline was easier to face than my answer. Whatever life you want. His jaw worked once. Like the words tasted bitter. Choose it. Yvonne Tagayo. That should have been my cue to run. To say thank you. Goodbye. And pretend this had all been some surreal detour in a life I'd eventually smooth out into something normal. Instead, I stepped closer. Look at me. I said, slowly. Edid. His eyes weren't cold now. They weren't unreadable. They were raw. The guarded, untouchable Dominic Hale was gone. And in his place was a man bracing himself to lose something he never meant to care about. My heart felt like it was trying to break out of my chest. You're really letting me choose yes. And if I choose to walk away? His throat worked. Then I set up security. And I pretend I don't check the cameras every night to make sure you're still breathing. The answer wasn't polished or charming. It was honest. And that was what did it. My voice trembled. But the words came out stronger than I felt. Then I choose you. Dominic. For a moment. He didn't move. Didn't breathe. It was like the world stopped to make room for that sentence. Then his composure cracked. His eyes softened. Going impossibly warm. And something like relief and disbelief and pure. Unfiltered joy flashed across his face. The transformation was almost painful to watch. "You're sure?" he asked, stepping closer. "Once you step into my world, Lana, it won't ever be simple again." I took another step toward him until there was barely any space left. "My life wasn't exactly a fairy tale before you. At least with you." "Il fil élevé." His hand rose, fingers brushing my cheek like he still didn't quite believe I was real. "You have no idea what you're taking on." "Maybe not," I agreed. "But I know what I'm taking on without you. And that's something I'm suddenly not sure I want." His laugh was soft and a little broken, like he hadn't used that particular sound in a very long time. Then he pulled me into him, one arm wrapping around my waist, the other cradling the back of my head as his mouth found mine. The kiss this time wasn't hesitant or interrupted. It was inevitable, deep, claiming. I melted into it. Into him. My fingers curling in his shirt, like I might fall without him to hold on to. When we finally broke apart, our breaths mingling, he rested his forehead against mine. "I should have let you go the night I saved you," he murmured. I told myself that 1,000 times. "And why didn't you?" I whispered. His eyes burned into mine. "Because losing you is the one thing I can't do." The answer stole whatever was left of my doubt. "Then don't," I said. Something shifted decisively in his gaze. A quiet acceptance of the choice we were both making, without another word. He lifted me into his arms, as if I weighed nothing, and carried me down the hallway past the spaces I'd grown used to, toward the private wing that had always been off limits. His world. His sanctuary. Now, ours. In the soft, golden light of his bedroom. The walls no longer felt like they were closing in. They felt like they were keeping the rest of the world out. He set me down gently, his thumb brushing my lower lip, like he was memorizing the shape of it. "I don't know how to be gentle with the things I care about," he admitted, "but I'll spend the rest of my life trying. If you let me." My chest ached in the best possible way. "You're doing fine so far?" His smile then was small, real, and only for me. Later, as we lay tangled in his sheets, my head resting over his heart, the city stretched out like a sea of stars outside the glass. His arm was wrapped around me, like he had no intention of ever letting go. "You're quiet," he said softly. "What are you thinking?" I listened to the steady beat beneath my ear, the rhythm that had somehow become my favorite sound. That on my 25th birthday, I woke up in the bed of the most dangerous man in Chicago. He huffed a low breath that might have been a laugh. Regretting it, I smiled, ease drifting shut. And somehow, I never wanted to leave. His hand tightened around me, pulling me closer, as the lights of the city shimmered beyond the glass. For the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel like something happening to me. It felt like something we'd face together. Danger, chaos, power, love, all of it. And I wouldn't have it any other way. If you loved this story, don't leave just yet. Make sure to like this video, it helps more people discover these dark romance tales. And if you want to follow Lana and Dominic into more danger, more passion, and more beautifully twisted love stories, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Share this video with someone who loves billionaire bad boys, forbidden attraction, and mafia romance as much as you do. And tell me in the comments, should I continue their story? Do you want a part 2 or another dark, addictive romance? Next, your comments help shape what comes next, and I always read every single one.